Yo, what's going on, everyone? What up, what up? It's your girl, Miss DJ Hoodie, getting at you guys with another Why Run podcast live. And today is March 9th, 2024, and I got Just Rob on the line. What up, babe?
How you doing?
How are you feeling today?
Numb.
Numb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel that you are numb.
Yeah.
So,
How are you?
I'm okay. It's just my voice is a little hoarse.
It's a little hoarse.
Yeah, it's just kind of dry. It feels, or it sounds raspy, but I'm pretty sure that when I play this episode back, it's gonna sound nothing like that. But do you hear it when I talk to you, or like when I start to get loud?
Yes, I do hear it.
Damn it.
Did I ever tell you that raspy female voices are sexy?
Yes, Kirstie Alley, and I was like, damn, you like bitches that sound like they smoke 30,000 packs of cigarettes? Like, what the fuck? And you, oh my god, I don't
know what it is. I
don't want to hear it. Ew, you like bitches that sound like Cruella DeVille.
I've never listened to her.
We need to go on Disney Plus and watch 101 Dalmatians.
Oh, okay.
You like bitches that sound like the black and white haired lady with the high cheekbones. Ew.
Well, you sound sexy.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. To me, you do.
Oh, well, thank you, babe. You like when I have a voice and I don't have a voice, and a voice that sounds like this?
I like your voice all the time.
Yeah, me and others would say that you have a very sexy voice too, but
No.
And I've told you that, like, all the time, that I think a lot of people, they are attracted to your voice.
Yes, you do tell me all the time, but I don't hear it.
But they want to act like they don't know what it is, and it's like, it's your voice. It's your voice. So, yeah, a lot of people are gonna deny it and lie, but you do intrigue a lot of people. So, yeah, you just have that voice.
Well, hopefully people listen to what I'm saying and not just listen for how I sound. I think today's message is important.
Yes, it is. So, let's just jump into this because you're on a schedule.
Yeah.
So, the title to this episode is, in an instant plus, what was it? Plus, oh my gosh, I lost it. Here, I just posted it. What is heaven? I'm sorry. Yeah, in an instant and what is heaven? Hashtag life after death. And yeah, let's get into it. Do you want to explain?
Yeah.
And so, this one we feel like doesn't, no disclaimer, right? Like, because these are things that, I mean, anybody and anything that has life, death comes for us all. So this is something that we feel that you should be able to hear. But go ahead, baby.
So in the last episode, we kind of left it off with talking about, lately I've been having these questions or thoughts about heaven, because we say it all the time, like, oh, they're in a better place, or if you're a good person, you go to heaven, and all these things, right? But what is heaven? Because the way that people describe it is like it's a place where everything is good, and it's good all the time, and it's happiness and joy, and it's the place where we're gonna reunite with our families if we're good people. But in my opinion, you can't have happiness, joy, and all these wonderful feelings, and nothing is bad if you don't have the bad. Like, you can't have the good. It comes together. It's you can't have one without the other one, because one without the other one for too long becomes, it doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound good. Like, yeah, at first, when you first get to heaven, you're gonna feel like, this is wonderful. I'm happy. This is what people were talking about. But imagine you're gonna spend eternity in heaven, and at some point, I mean, if we still have a conscience, right? We have to assume that we're still conscious of what's going on in the moment. At some point, you're gonna get bored of it, because nothing is ever gonna go wrong. There's no goals. There's no nothing to fight for. So then that kind of sounds to me like either we're not human in heaven, because we have human emotions. So either we lose our humanity, or I don't know what the or is, but it just doesn't sound like a good place for me. To me, I need a place where I have a choice to do good or bad. Because if I don't have that choice, then again, that sounds like hell to me, honestly. Not having a choice, not having the freedom, not having, I know we probably won't have free will, but it just doesn't sound good to me, appealing to me, let's put it that way. If that is what heaven is, I don't think I want to go there anymore. That doesn't mean that I'm going to become a shitty person. That just means that I'm not looking forward to going to a place where everything is wonderful all the time. There's a TV show, I think it's called The Good Place or something. I started watching it, but I didn't finish it. But I'm assuming that that's what the show was about. It's going to heaven and being in a place where there is no bad. And again, I haven't finished it, but I heard someone say that people just become zombies there. If there's no pain, there's no joy. So I feel like we need both of them. I don't know if you want to speak on that part, or if I should just move on to the next.
So the only thing that I want to ask is, you feel like you don't want to be there because it's like if you do wind up in a place like that, it almost strips you of a purpose. Like you gotta feel or have purpose wherever you're going.
Yeah, because to me, being a good person is a choice, right? We deal with this every single day, all the time. You have the choice between right and wrong, and whatever you choose, if you choose good, then you're a good person. If you choose bad, you're a bad person. But you have that choice. And if you're in a place where you don't have that choice, and you're just gonna be good, and you don't ever have to work, and you don't have to do anything, there's no purpose to anything in a place like heaven. Then what's the point?
Okay. Let me say that I've never went to heaven, but I went to hell. Obviously two different things. The only thing that I seen of heaven, it was through like a window. Like I'm peering, like imagine everything dark, but you're seeing like a picture in a picture frame. And the only thing you can do is look inside. It's almost like a portal. But when you look through the window, like, yeah, everything's nature. everything is wonderful, everything's clean and clear, and things like that. I can only assume that, okay, if you are a good person and you pass away and you go to a place like heaven, I would think that you would still have knowledge of who you were when you were alive. You start to see people that you knew that passed away before you. And it's of course you want to look at the good things, like, okay, like, you're catching up, you're talking, and you're meeting new people, right? Who's to say that the people that come after you, yeah, they've gone to a good place, but it's almost like, yeah, there's really no sadness, there's no unhappiness, right? Or there's no like anger. But when if there's a little bit of confusion, when if there's a little bit of worry, concern, who says that you can't do or have a purpose for those people that come after you? And you can better explain and teach them and guide them, like you can still have a purpose. Let's just say you were a farmer and you pass away in a plowing accident or something, and then you get to heaven and you could still be an animal caretaker in heaven. And this is something that you're worrying or not worrying about, but you're just saying right now. You probably won't even feel those things when you get there. Like you probably won't even be feeling what you're feeling right now and saying the things that you're saying right now when you get to heaven. Because here on earth is a bunch of pressure. It's a bunch of like, you feel like you gotta do things. You gotta do something. But when if these thoughts that we have right now, when if they're all not good? Because, stress and worry, yeah, it does things to our body. Like it fucks up our mood. We get depressed, we stay in sadness, we stay in anger, and we keep it all in, and it does reflect on other people, whether you drive shitty or you do horrible acts at your job, or it starts to show on you physically, like you can't get out of bed, or that your chest hurts, or you have a headache, or you start aging, your hair is falling out. It's like you don't have smile lines anymore, like it's something else, like it's and that's just putting the pressures on ourselves that we feel like we should be doing something, we need to be doing something. But it's like, yeah, getting to heaven, it's like I'm pretty sure all of that goes away. I think the only thing that we may be stuck with is, like, oh, I'm thinking about my family. Like, I'm wondering about my family. It's more of a wonder than a worry. And if you are a special kind of human being where you're able to come back and forth between worlds, I don't really think that's a good thing that you should be doing, because it's almost like you're tampering with, or you're not really happy with where you're at. But it's just trying to make things work out for your family, or it's like sending a message to your family that you're fine, and everybody is gonna be fine, because it's almost like you're seeing where they're headed. You're seeing how they're living life. So I think that when we get to heaven, we're not going to have these pressures or these kinds of thoughts when we pass and when we get there. So yeah, a lot of people have that wonder or even a worry about what is heaven. Is heaven real? Is heaven a good thing? Is the talk of heaven just being a huge above all happy topic when really it probably isn't? But it's like, I believe that however we are on this earth, and yes, the things that we do and that we don't do, the the anger, the sadness, the happiness, like I think it does count. And overall, like, who are you? Like the true person that you are, like deep down inside, I think that's where you're gonna go. So if you find joy in, manipulating, and you have, I guess, behaviors of a narcissist, you have nothing, you carry nothing but bad thoughts. I think that's ultimately where you're gonna end up. And it would be your own personal hell. Because it's almost like hell itself, it has all the room, right? It has all the room for these layers and dooms and floors, and they just go on for eternity. It will have room for every bad thing that you are, and you had no care in the world to change that, to change your mood, your attitude, the way that you think, the way that you live, that you have lived. And that would be your eternal hell. Just whatever deep down that scares you, or how you've been treating people, it's gonna mirror that right back at you. And I believe that that's where you're gonna go, and that's gonna be your life in that life. But I don't think people should focus on, like, what is heaven, because I feel like there's really no answer for that. Because it just depends, just like hell. If you are a good person inside, you may not feel it. Like, you may feel like you've been depressed the majority of your life, or you've had nothing but worry in your life, and you dream and you fantasize about a good life that you want to reach. Not so much like, oh, I deserve a good life. Like, that's completely something different. But it's like, if you dream and you continue to go, and you're just like, I don't know when I'll get there, but I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna be, I know I could be the best version of myself once I get there, or once I have it. But it's like, you already carry those traits with you. It's the fact that you have faith and hope, and you are visioning a good life. So it's almost like a Sims game. You're playing this Sims game with nothing. But you know what you have to do to, like, work to build up materials to build a house, buying a land. What's on your land? Are you going to just have stuff on it, or are you going to be surrounded by cornfields, and then it grows, and then you create a community. You have neighbors, and there's a supermarket, there's a, whatever. So it's almost like, as you're going on in modern life, you are like a Sims game, creating your own eternity, so that once you pass away, everything's already waiting for you on the other side. And what I've told people in the past is that if you can vision it, if you can imagine it, you already have it. You just haven't got there yet. If you could just imagine yourself what it feels like to walk into a huge space, and you can feel the marble on your feet, and you can hear the echoes of your walk, the echoes of your voice. And if you can imagine the feeling of, oh my gosh, this house is mine. I worked for this house. This is my property. This is my place. This is my space. And if you can imagine not having to worry about bills, whether you're alive or if you're gone, it's the stress that you feel like go away, and you're feeling something new and something different, and you're wondering, is this something that I could get used to? The answer should be yes. You've got there. Like it was yours. So that's what, in my culture, this is just education. I'm not telling you what it is, because everybody has their own beliefs. But we always say that when you pass away, after 4 days, you go home. You go back home. So if you lived in a shack and you pass away, when you go home, that shack won't even be a shack anymore. It would be a house. All fixed up. It's familiar to you. And you're going to go home like, I'm home. And you probably won't even remember how it looked before. Because the way that you looked at your shack when you were once alive, it was home. You felt at home there. And it never mattered to you what it looked like. Any repairs that you had to make on your shack, it was nothing. Like, it was no problem. You just go back home. And when you go home after your 4 days that you've left Earth, it's familiar to you, even though it never looked like that. It never looked like that before, but it's the fact that you went home. And you went home with nothing to worry about. So if you're worried about right now, oh, when I go home, like, what am I supposed to do in a nice house? You're worried about that? And it's like, enjoy. And see, like right now, and you and I are the same. Oh my God, like today's my day off and I don't know what to do with myself. And we say that all the time. Like, I don't know what to do with myself right now. And there's a gazillion things that we have to do, but we just don't do it, or we're too stressed out to do it because we're stressing about these other things that we got to do. And here now, we're actually going to take our worries into after we die. And we shouldn't do that, because we're probably, when we think this way, we're probably creating our own hell as we're speaking about it. Like, we're really going to be worried if we're going to have a purpose or not. And okay, I am a person of medicine. You are a person of medicine. Okay? So we probably won't even make it to heaven, because we are chosen by higher beings, God, Masao, they'll probably take us somewhere else where we're still going to be needed. So I've already told my parents that I may not even see them. Like, we're probably not even going to go to the same place. I told both of my parents, you guys are probably going to go to where you guys need to go, which is like heaven. You guys are going to come back home into a nice house where you don't have to pay rent, pay electric, pay internet. We would have no bills and see all of our families stress about bills. But see, that's probably where they're going to go. And I'm probably going to be sitting alongside other medicine people, healers, chiefs. And we're all going to still be working in the spiritual realm because that is our job. So you're worried about a place that you may not even go. And you probably won't even see your families. Because I've already told my parents that I may not see you guys there. But my parents, they're supportive and they're proud and they know my purpose. And they said, okay, we won't forget about you because you're going to be sitting with the greats, still working, doing your purpose.
I like that thought better than going to a place where there is no bad. Where I guess if there is no other choice, then it'll get mundane or boring. I like that, the thought of I may not even get to that place because I'm still gonna be needed somewhere. So I don't know. It's just questions that I had, and I had this whole thing. There was another reason why I wanted to talk about this, or where I got the inspiration, or even the thoughts from. I think I asked you if I could. I'm not trying to promote this podcast, but it is a good podcast, and the reason why I have these thoughts or whatever is because the guy brings up good points, and
yeah, we can drop a link in the description so that others can check it out. Yeah, for sure.
I would have to give you the link, and honestly, right this second, I don't remember what the name of the podcast is. I think it's the 1090 podcast. Well, the reason why I started listening to that podcast was it's a guy, his name is Mason Sawyer. He lost 5 family members in a accident. I think there was like a sandstorm, and there was 22 cars that were involved in a pileup, and 5 family members of his died in that accident. So of course, listening to him talk about it is like, why? These people were amazing, good people. Why did they have to die that way? Why? He has so many questions, and of course he's grieving. I think it's only been like 2 years, and it doesn't matter. I think I've heard people on his show that have dealt with the loss of someone for 15, 20 years, and it's still the same. And he's grieving publicly. He's asking all these hard questions, and that he's the one that I heard saying, like, if heaven is a place where there is no chance of losing, then you may not even enjoy your family anymore. If there's no chance that you're ever gonna lose them, or there's no bad, then you start depreciating the good, which is kind of true. I mean, I think I was talking to my brother one time, and I asked him, because he's always depressed and he's always sad, and I asked him, what would make you happy? And he said, spending time with my family. And I said, okay, so do that. And he said, but I can't. I said, yes, you can. You can use all the free time that you have to spend time with them. And I don't know why he feels that he can't, but he was like, well, they'll get tired of me. And that's what I feel like. If we go to heaven where everything is amazing all the time, you get tired of it. You're going to get bored of it, even if it is good. At least that's what I was thinking. Like, that's where those questions came from. But something happened yesterday where And I kept thinking about it because I think it was on Thursday that we were talking about heaven, and when we mentioned it on the show, I kept thinking like about death, because you can't go to heaven without death, right? So I was thinking about death, and I was thinking about all the people that I've lost, and um, just, there is some things that you forget, like, not that I don't know how to explain it, but the first time that I ever saw somebody die, um, there's details of that story that I don't remember anymore. You know, for a long time, this was, I don't know, 20 something years ago. The first time, maybe for the first 2, 3 years, all the details were fresh in my mind, and I always thought, I'm never gonna forget this. There's no way that you can ever forget watching somebody die. And then I told you, Adi, yesterday that I feel like I'm the angel of death because I've seen at least 4 or 5 people die now. And yesterday, early in the morning, as soon as I woke up, I had this, I was angry about something that happened the night before, but it was, something about the Chick-fil-A guy, and I don't, I don't want to bring it up too much because I don't know the story. I haven't looked it up, but, yeah, I was just mad that people use God and God's name in vain. Like, they do these horrible things to God's children. And I remember waking up still mad about finding that out. And um I was getting up, and I messaged you at the same time. My mom came back from my brother's house. She had been gone for like a week, and I thought Adi was gonna be asleep. So I messaged you, and then you answered right away. And then I also heard my mom. Like, all these things were happening fast. That's why I said it all happens in an instant. Um, when you messaged me back, I heard that my mom was already busy doing stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, so she's doing her thing, so I have a few minutes to talk to you, to Audrey. So I called you. The call connected, but we couldn't hear each other. You hung up, and then I heard this loud bang. I knew it was a car accident, but where I live, there's car accidents all the time. So I stopped, kind of like, not that I stopped caring, but I stopped running out there as soon as I heard something, right? So I heard the loud car accident. I heard like loud moaning and pain, like obviously somebody was hurt. And then I heard somebody yell out my mom's name. And my mom has this bad habit of coming home, and she wants to like survey the area and like make sure that everything's okay. So she does walk out to the middle, not to the middle of the street, but out to the main road. And in that instant, I thought she had gotten hit or something had happened to her. So I remember telling you, babe, hold on, something happened. And I got up and I looked out the window, and I saw my mom standing on the other side of this vehicle. And just, I don't know, in that moment, I saw the look on her face, and I was like, something's wrong. So I told you, babe, I'll call you back. Threw the phone on the bed, got dressed, went out there. And I still didn't know what I was walking out there to, but I remember saying, Lord, please don't let me watch it. Don't let me witness anyone die today. Why did I say that? I don't know. I just remember saying that as soon as I got to my front door. I walked out the door. I went to the scene. I saw there was just shit all over the place. There was stuff all over the place, car parts and everything, right? But I heard somebody on the phone with the dispatcher saying, send the fucking ambulance. And I was like, somebody's hurt. Like, where's the person that's hurt? I couldn't see him. And then I don't remember if I saw his leg move or something, but I saw something underneath the car. And I was like, oh, crap. And I went around the other side, and then I see my neighbor laying, like, just laying on the floor. But the way that he landed, I'm guessing he was between the two vehicles. There was a car that came, hit the car in the front of him, and it smashed those two vehicles together. And I'm guessing he was in the middle of those, so he got hit. And by the time that I saw him, he was laying flat on the floor, but he was in a position where I couldn't get to him. And I remember walking up to him and calling his name. He opened his eyes, but I could see that he was struggling to breathe. And I don't know, like, I guess you don't know what you're going to do in that moment, but I remember praying because I knew that he was not going to make it. And I started praying, and I was trying to talk to him, trying to keep him as conscious as possible, because I could tell that when he opened his eyes were just like, he was in here. And just, there was a lot of commotion, a lot of things were going on, and then somebody hands me a phone, and I'm like, what the hell is it? Like, I just pick up the phone, and the dispatcher's telling me that I have to do compressions on him. And I told him, I was like, I'm trying to, and I can't get to him. Like, his chest was in a spot where I couldn't get to both of my arms in there. So he said, try however you can. And I put my hand on his chest, and I went to pump. Like, I pumped, but his head was on the curb, and it just, like, jolted his head forward. I said, I feel like I'm hurting him. I'm causing more damage. He said, just keep trying. I said, I am. When I said that, I looked underneath the car on the other side of the car, and I saw that there was a lot of blood coming from his leg. But again, his leg was on the other side of the car, and I couldn't get to it to, like, apply pressure to it or put a tourniquet or anything. There was nothing literally that I could do. He was in the perfect spot where I couldn't help him. And then I remember being on the phone with the dispatcher, and he's telling me, we're sending help, keep trying. And I said, I'm doing the best I can. And then for that split second, I remember looking up and noticing that I was there by myself. Nobody was doing shit. There was a lot of people spectating. There was a lot of people that I could hear them talking, and I could hear the panic in their voice, but they weren't doing shit. And I don't know what I thought. I just know that I felt alone. And then I just tried to focus on this man who I've known for 20-something years. He's been a friend of the family. He's been my neighbor for so long. And he's always been a nice and good person to us. And I'm just watching him take his last breaths, and I'm like, this can't be happening. And I remember feeling this feeling of, what else can I do to help him? And at that point, I looked up and I saw this fireman coming to me, and I just got out the way. And then next thing I hear is, we need to move these cars. And like, maybe the adrenaline was pumping or something, I don't know, but I pushed that van, and they were like, hold on. We all got to push it at the same time. And then I just remember looking back, and he was already out from underneath the car. And I asked one of the firemen if he had a pulse, and the only thing he said was, he lost a lot of blood. We're doing the best we can. That to me was like, no, he's not gonna make it, or he didn't make it, which was the second time I remember thinking he's not gonna make it. And then, a bunch of other things happened, but maybe 30 minutes later, I heard his wife just screaming, saying, please God. And I knew that he was gone. And then maybe 30 minutes after that, we went to check up on her, and she told us that they had confirmed that he passed away. And I've been numb since then. I keep replaying the scene and the situation, and I keep asking myself, was there something else that I could have done? Could I have moved the cars? Could I have pulled him out, like, all the answers are no, because I remember when they said we gotta push these cars, and I went to push the van, and then one of the firemen was telling me like we need to all push together. Somehow I ended up being either I moved or they moved me away from the van, and I looked on the ground and I saw those inflatable bags that they use. So they had to use something like the jaws of life when I guess he was pinned underneath the car. So they needed equipment, they needed tools to get him out. There was no way that I was gonna do anything. So, and like I said, I did try and do chest compressions, but I couldn't get in a good position to do it. I had to like put my arm underneath the car, and there was really no clearance for me to give him a good like chest pump or anything. So, all the answers to my questions are no. You did as much as you could. You did everything that you could. It still doesn't feel like it was good enough, and I know that that's part of the grief. I know that that's the modern part of me, that I feel like I should have done more or I could have. But I know spiritually, I knew as soon as I saw him that he was not gonna make it. I probably knew before that because, like I said, when I was coming out my door, I remember saying, "Please, Lord, don't let me witness anybody die today." That's exactly what happened. It was, looking at it now, it was like God was telling me, that's what I need you to do. So when we're talking about heaven and all these things, and like we're probably not even gonna go to heaven because we still got work to do. That's what that felt like. Like God was telling me, I need you to go there. I need you to do this. And it's, I don't know, it's a weird feeling. And of course, talking to people after that, everybody was like had questions and how could something like this happen outside of his house? Like he wasn't supposed to be here anymore. He was supposed to be going to a doctor's appointment or something. And then not only that, but he's a vendor and he sells me coffee and cigarettes. And I remember when I heard my mom get home, I was gonna tell her, hey, if he's out there, can you tell him I need coffee? But again, in a split second, I was just like, oh, let me call Audie first. And I keep replaying all these things. And had I told my mom, had I been out there, had I called him and said, hey, I need my coffee, he probably wouldn't have been in that spot. But I also keep telling myself, like, you can't cheat death. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And, the people say there's like divine intervention and all these, God's plan and all these things, but if you would have seen in the position that his body landed, he was in the perfect position for nobody to be able to help him. So I have to understand that that was God's plan for him to go that day. There was no cheating death. I couldn't have been the reason why he came back inside. Like, there is none of that. When it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So I have to accept it. I don't know what to do now as far as how can I help, because I feel like I want to help, but I know that prayers, and I know that being there for his child and his wife, that's as much as I can do. But I didn't even realize this, but I'm gonna have to deal with my mom's trauma too, because she was out there. He was calling for her name. He's the one that was calling for my mom. He's the one that I heard say her name. So she can't even talk about it. I was trying to talk to her about this morning, and she can't. She feels like she failed him somehow. But I kept telling her, like, there was nothing that anybody could have done. It's easy for me to say it to her, but yet it's hard for me to accept it. But I know that I will get there. I know that this is part of the grieving, and I just want everybody to just stop and appreciate what you have, appreciate the people that you have, the things that make you happy, and just don't take anything for granted. Don't ever feel like, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow, or I'll call them tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. You could die in your sleep. You could. It doesn't even matter how, but someone is here 1 minute, and then in an instant they're gone. And it's hard to stay with that in your mind, right? Sometimes we forget, life goes on, and people move on, and even that's hard. Knowing that the people that weren't there, the people that didn't see this happen, the people that weren't hands-on involved, at some point they'll be able to move on before us, the people that were there trying to do something, because that image is never gonna fade. Yeah, I say that, but then I say, like, 20 something years ago, I watched this guy die almost in the same fashion, but there's details that I forgot. But, I don't know. Just appreciate what you have and love the people that you have around you.
Yeah, just dead air.
I gotta get ready to go pray.
Okay.
Thank you, babe.
And thanks for your messages. Until our next episode. What's that, baby?
No, I was gonna say, I know it's a heavy one, but people need to wake up. Yeah. People need to realize that, life is short. Go ahead, baby. End your show.
Yeah, I'm crying now.
No, I'm sorry.
No, we said hello to each other a couple of times, and I don't know him. I didn't even know his name until yesterday. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just missing him, and I don't even know him. But so yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you, babe, for being on panel with me and sharing your messages.
Thank you, babe, for having me and allowing me to do this on your platform.
Anytime, babe.
I love you.
I love you. And we will both check you guys on the next Why Run Podcast Live.